Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. And man, oh man, there's so much to cover today. I'm going to talk first about this Ukrainian attack on America, their attack on X yesterday. Then we're going to get into some of the things going on with Canada on the verge of collapse with what they're doing. And I had an incident happen to me this morning when I went out to get coffee. So stand by. Here we go. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. That's right. And you're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. And of course, this is where MAGA comes to talk. And talk we will indeed do. There's so much to cover. Yesterday, this attack on X, Twitter, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, was pretty huge. Let me just play this clip quickly, and then I'm going to talk about it. The great Elon Musk was interviewed by Larry Kudlow yesterday, and he was talking about the attack on X, the cyber attack that shut it down.
There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced. Yes. It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Okay, originating in the Ukraine area. So it looks like the United States here was attacked by Ukraine with the cyber attack, according to Elon Musk. And, you know, this cyber attack on X, when I was on the air yesterday, I was having some issues on X because, you know, the way I do my show prep, as I'm reading the news and going through the news, if there's an article that I might reference or an article I read or something, I post it to X. I've done that for years. So if you follow me on X, Brian Craig USA on X. That's my new X, guys. Brian Craig USA on X. You get all my show prep, even for the radio show, my YouTube channel, my podcast, and even the stuff I never even get to, but things I've read and such. And yesterday, I couldn't get to all my show prep because I could only go so far down my X feed. And that happens sometimes. And I didn't even realize there was a cyber attack going on during the show yesterday. I just was having trouble accessing my whole X feed, and that's it. But I found out when I got off the air there was a cyber attack, and it got worse during the day. It got to the point where you couldn't even access X. And then we hear at the end of the day from Elon Musk that it was Ukraine. So there's a few things to talk about here, and I want to ask you guys this question. And our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 1-888-465-2631. We know that Elon Musk is telling us the truth. I mean, you know, I trust Elon. Don't you trust Elon? Of course we trust Elon. He's President Trump's best friend. But if what he said indeed is true, and I believe Elon Musk, does that mean that the United States was attacked by Ukraine yesterday? You know, you look at what's going on. They're attacking Cybertruck dealerships around the country. There are people driving in Teslas that are being attacked by lunatic liberals, and most Teslas are driven by liberals, and they're under attack. You've seen some of this. There's been a lot of media attacks on Elon Musk. And then over the weekend, I was talking yesterday on the program. You may remember that Elon Musk, either on Saturday or Sunday, I don't know exactly when he said it, but I saw it on Sunday. Over the weekend, Elon Musk said, if you want to get Zelensky to sign the ceasefire and end this war, the best way to do that is cut off the money for the Ukrainian billionaires that are controlling him. Oh boy. So they get that. And then the day after he says that, there's a cyber attack that brings down X globally out of Ukraine. I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't think that is a coincidence. He's got a lot of enemies because, you know, if you look today, USAID that was exposed by Doge has been put under the authority of Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio announced yesterday that USAID is cutting virtually every single expenditure they have, every program, everything they're funding, over 80% of them. So there's a lot of rich people around the world, including the Ukrainian billionaires behind Zelensky, who are losing their money, and they have focused all their hate and blame on Elon Musk, more so than even Trump. And, all this talk about President Elon and all this stuff, President Musk, they've focused everything on him. Now, tomorrow, Elon Musk, his rocket is scheduled to launch to rescue the stranded astronauts that Biden left up there on the space station. And they will return what would normally be a momentous, heroic welcome because they've been stranded up there for so long. He's rescued. Think about this. This is the very first Elon Musk, who's done so much greatness in the last month and a half leading Doge for President Trump. He's about to launch the first ever rescue mission into outer space. And, this is a big deal because, the Space Shuttle Columbia, which disintegrated on re-entry years ago, you remember that, killing all the 7 astronauts on board, and NASA knew that there was a heat shield problem on the Columbia before re-entry, but back in that era, there was no way to launch a rescue mission. And I remember at the time, can't they just go to the space station and hold up there until they send a new shuttle? And no, they didn't have the ability to do that. That the Columbia, the space shuttle program, didn't have enough fuel after launch to go to the space station. So NASA knew that the Columbia astronauts were going to die. But they brought them back anyway because there was no way to rescue them. Now there is. This is one of the greatest advancements in the manned space program in our history. And Elon Musk has had 2 momentous historic advances in the manned space program, landing the rocket on the launch pad, which I never get tired of watching that. That just blows my mind. And now the first rescue mission into outer space. And it's all Elon Musk. He's doing it. And this rescue mission is huge. For the first time ever, thanks to Elon Musk, we have the ability to rescue people in space. So if there's another spacecraft like Columbia, whose heat shield is damaged, NASA doesn't have to bring them in and kill them. We'll have the ability now, thanks to Elon Musk, of going into space and rescuing them. We've got a guy, one of our listeners called him this a couple months back, and I think it's so great. Such a great label for Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the Albert Einstein of our time. So he's also the best friend of the President of the United States, a top advisor to the President of the United States, who's also leading one of the most important agenda items and missions of the President of the United States with Doge. So with forces in Ukraine attacking X, this is what I want to ask you. If what Elon Musk says is true, that Ukrainian interest attacked in this massive cyber attack on X yesterday, is that an attack on the United States? Is that an attack on the President of the United States as well, personally? And I say yes to both. But I want to hear what you think. Our number is 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll take a break and be right back. I'm talking to Mike the board. We're coordinating coming back. There's a big delay between me and the radio station, so he tells me what time on his clock they're coming back, and the delay is different sometimes. It's not the same length every day. Okay. Really? We'll be back in 35 seconds. Here we go. We're coming back. If you'd like to call in, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. During the next break, I got to turn the air conditioning down. It's in the 50s outside, 58. But it's hot in here. I got to turn the air down. We use our air conditioning every day in Florida. Okay, 8 seconds, and we'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Okay, so Elon Musk is telling us Ukraine has, that's the originator of the cyber attack on X. And, you know, one thing I want to add to that, not only is that an attack on the best friend of the President of the United States, and also the United States, because it's a U.S.-based major company that's global, but X is also the number one news source on the planet. So there's that attack is an insane attack to me, and we do need to get to the bottom of it. So your thoughts on that are most certainly welcome. Now I want to talk about Canada. The brother of the crack addict mayor, Premier Ford, remember his brother was a crack addict, Mayor Ford. He has instituted a 25% tariff on electricity and some other things coming into the United States, which I'm shocked. You know, a premier is like a governor of a province, right? How they have a lot of authority. Where's the outrage from the left and the media on this? And the states that are being affected are blue states, Michigan and New York. It is the dead of winter. You know, this morning, I go outside. I was shocked at how cold it was. It was 58 degrees. Now, I know for those of you in other parts of America, 58 may sound like summertime weather, but here in sunny South Florida, 58 degrees is the dead of winter, man. I mean, that's freezing for us here in Florida. But it is the dead of winter. And Ford up in Canada has just increased the price of electricity in our Democrat blue states of Michigan, New York, and others by 25%. 25%. He's threatening to cut it off. He could kill Americans with that. There's no time of year that there's certain, depending on where you live in America, there's certain times of year that electricity is life and the lack of it is death. And in the wintertime, people can die without electricity to power their heat and keep themselves and their children and their families and grandma and grandpa warm. That is a direct attack on the United States. And where's the outrage? We're supposed to just suck this up. And I'll tell you, President Trump has not increased any of the tariffs. He has not increased any of the import taxes on Canada yet. He says it'll go into effect on April 2nd. It's only March 11th, man. So why all the outrage at Trump when we've just been attacked? And you know what? Attacked in Democrat blue states, Michigan, filled with Democrats, Detroit. I know Trump won Michigan, but Detroit, New York, and other historically blue states are under attack by Canada with this 25% increase in tariffs on electricity. When when Trump's tariffs have not increased yet. He's just talking about doing it to negotiate. They've done it. They've done it. Canada has done it. Where's the outrage? President Trump post on Truth Social. This is President Trump on Truth yesterday. Despite the fact that Canada is charging the USA from 250% to 390% tariffs on many of our farm products. Holy smokes. Almost 400%. Ontario just announced a 25% surcharge on electricity, of all things. And you're not even allowed to do that because our tariffs are reciprocal. We'll just get it all back on April 2nd. Canada is a tariff abuser and always has been. But the United States is not going to be subsidizing Canada any longer. We don't need your cars. We don't need your lumber. We don't need your energy. And very soon you will find that out. Make America great again. That's President Trump's post on Truth Social. I mean, what the heck? You know, this is a direct attack on the United States by Ontario, by Canada. Trump's tariffs have not even gone into effect yet, almost a month away. We'll be on our cruise when they go into effect. Somewhere in the Caribbean on April 2nd, since we leave on March 29th. I'm not sure where we'll be on that day, but we'll be somewhere having a great time. I mean, this is nuts. We're being attacked. You know, one of the most brilliant conservative minds in America is Victor Davis Hanson. He's a smart man, isn't he? Victor Davis Hanson. Very smart guy. And he was talking yesterday about the this trade war, this tariff war. And he talked about what Trump's talking about and what I'm talking about and what we know, that they are an abuser that's been taking advantage of the United States. And they're not paying their NATO dues. Victor Davis Hanson pointed all this out. I know, he's a very smart man. Doesn't mean I always agree with him, but he's very smart. And Victor Davis Hanson, he was pointing out they don't pay their NATO dues. And they, I know. This is nuts. We're paying for their national defense. And Canada knows that we'll defend them. Well, maybe we won't now because we're in North America too. So if there's an attack in North America, we'd have to step up. And they know that, so they don't pay their NATO dues. So they rip us off with the tariffs as high as 390%. 390%. That's worse than mob interest rates. Can we round it up to 400? They don't pay for their defense. We do. They're not paying their obligation in the NATO dues. We're covering it. And then in the coldest months of the year, in the coldest states in the union, they've just raised electricity prices by 25%. I want you to think about that. You know, here in Florida, while heat is not life, air conditioning is life. And, you know, if in August, if your electricity bill went up 25% and you've got to run your air conditioning 24 hours a day, man, how much money would that be? A lot. And you can't afford to turn your heat off or not keep it warm up north. This is a direct attack and a threat on the United States because people can die due to what Ontario just did with this 25% tariff on electricity in our coldest states this time of year. It would be wrong any time of the year, but this time of year is the worst. You know, in these states, they don't even cut off your electricity if you don't pay your bills. Still got to pay it eventually because it can be deadly. These people are out of their minds. And you notice that Canada, they mostly, on the Canadian side of the border, they mostly talk about tariffs on liquor. You notice that? All the videos we see are about booze. All they talk about is the tax on different types of beer and whiskey and other liquor from the United States. Are they a nation of drunks? Why is Canada so obsessed with the price of alcohol? Do they have a high rate of alcoholism up there? But Victor Davis Hanson pointed out a lot of things, including this, which I had no idea. You know, I know people in Canada because my mother-in-law is an immigrant to the United States. She's an American, but she is from originally Canada, but she's a U.S. citizen now and has been a U.S. citizen almost as long as I have. So she has family from Canada, and they come to Florida quite often, and they do very well. Okay, they do very well financially. But I don't have really a lot of contact with Canadians other than that, and some of the snowbirds that come to Florida this time of year, but they're more upscale too. But Victor Davis Hanson pointed something out that blew my mind about how weak and what an economically poor country Canada is. Now, I was telling you guys yesterday, the Canadian population is about the same size as the population of California. And that a trade war with a country so small against the United States is destined to fail. It's a joke. It's like, but this is what Victor Davis Hanson added to that I did not know. The average per capita income in Canada is about the same as the per capita income of the state of Mississippi. And for those that don't know, Mississippi historically is one of the poorest states in the Union. And the per capita income in Mississippi is around $35,000 a year is the average income. In Canada, you'll see it's around 40 to 45. That's in Canadian, not U.S. dollars. So the average Canadian makes around 40 to 45,000 a year. They're overtaxed like no one's business because it's a socialist country. So they're a poor country. Now, these big shots that we see on TV, we'll stand up to America, how dare you? These people aren't making $45,000 a year. They're Canadian millionaires and billionaires, so they're financially secure. It doesn't affect them. They're rich. But the average Canadian is struggling to get by, and their average income is about of the entire nation. Okay, think about this: the average income of the average Canadian is about the same as Mississippi, which is like our 48th, 49th, maybe even 50th poorest state, right? It's one of the poorest states in the United States, always has been, Mississippi. So how economically would they be able to keep up? Because, what that tells you, all these American industries that Bill Clinton gave away to Mexico and Canada with NAFTA, they don't have a large enough population, and the small population they have in Canada doesn't earn enough money to support these industries. They need to export to the United States. Same goes with Mexico, which is much poorer than the average Canadian, of course. But raising the electricity prices by 25% out of Ontario and New York and into Michigan, to me, that's an act of war. This time of year, it's an act of war. Everything we've done for Canada, are you kidding me? They're a financial abuser at Ukrainian levels. We support Ukraine. We support Canada as well. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our bottom of the hour break. My name's Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Our number is toll free 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening. We'll be right back. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, we have not raised our tariffs on Canada yet. Trump is in the negotiation phase. They did it immediately. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. They're out of their minds. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll get to the calls when we get back. Yeah, I had something happen to me when I went out and got coffee this morning, and I was not happy about it. But I'll tell you guys what happened in a little bit, and I'm going to ask, what would you do? And I'm sure a lot of you guys will, I would do this. I'd be all butch, I was surprised. What do you guys? What's your opinion of Victor Davis Hanson? Richard Winters, yes, they just did it. Ontario just increased the price of electricity by 25%. We haven't raised our tariffs yet. So, yes, they've done it. Trump hasn't done it yet. So, yeah. Yeah, Victor Davis Hanson is smart. Now, I haven't listened to him enough to say that I agree with him all the time, but the few times I have, not only have I agreed with what he's had to say, he's just brilliant. I think he might be the greatest conservative thinker of our day. He's kind of like a philosopher, wouldn't you say? He's a conservative philosopher. We'll be back in less than 3 minutes. Yeah, I think he's pretty good. I like him. I catch Victor Davis Hanson from time to time. And he's a very smart guy. I'm listening to him more and more because, and I don't listen to a lot of other people. I really don't. I don't like to be influenced by what other people do on their programs, is why I don't listen to a lot of other people. I don't like what I'm going to talk about being influenced by them. But Victor Davis Hanson is awesome. Trump it'd be a wise decision for Trump to hire him as an advisor. He has a very good outlook on things as they happen. I got an article about Ron DeSantis. I'm going to post it on X that I might get to in a little bit. Yeah, I just posted an article on my X, Brian Craig USA on X, and it's about DeSantis and Trump, and I might get into that a little later. I'll have a new podcast today too, guys, so make sure you check that out. Let's see, when are we coming back here? We'll be back in less than a minute. Less than a minute. There's 2 openings on the board at 1-888-465-2631. I just got this hat in the mail yesterday. I like it. I didn't know it was coming. My wife got it for me as a surprise. President Trump was wearing one the other day. Remember? And I told her, I said, I'd like to have that hat. And she got one for me. I like it. Okay, here we go. 14 seconds. Stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I've covered a lot. I'm going to go right to the phones, and you're welcome to call in about anything I brought up so far. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, what do these hind ends in Canada think is going to happen by declaring war on America?
Well, I don't know. You know, listening to the Canadian leadership, they're so consumed with the price of alcohol, maybe they're just all drunk.
Well,
not seeing things clearly.
One of the uses for alcohol is it kind of warms you up a little bit. So maybe because it's so cold up there, they need the alcohol to get warm. I guess. I don't know.
The premier of Ontario, Ford. I mean, he's so obese, his blubber should keep him warm.
Oh yeah, he reminds me of Christy.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, he's heading that. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is, I mean, they in their fogged up minds, they don't understand that all President Trump has to do is cut off their foreign aid. They're done.
That's right. Hey, you're right on the money. I agree with that 100%. All right, let's go. Oh. I hit the wrong line. Here we go. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie. How
you
Richie. Doing this morning?
All right.
All right. Now, I think our tax on Canada has gone into effect. The only thing President Trump backed off of the auto industry. The other stuff it's gone in. He backed off the auto industry because he said
that's the big one. Canada attacked us yesterday. You raised the price of electricity by 25%. Okay, in the coldest months of the year in our coldest states. I consider that an act of war almost. That's an attack.
Here's a revenge because we could really go into it here. You know that their money. The value of their money compared to ours. Now, we should just take 25%. If they want to convert to an American dollar, they're going to have to pay not only that there's...
I don't want to talk about fantasies about the American dollar. I mean, have we been... Is this an attack by Canada? This is an attack, and it's an attack on the American people. I mean, this is a drastic action.
Right. So what do we do about it? You say it's a fantasy when I tell you the valuation of that money.
What I think we should cut off. There should be an immediate increase by the same amount on all tariffs across the board to send a message. That should be the first action, and see what their response is. And the second thing we should do is start revoking visas from Canadians. And I'll tell you, if they don't turn back the electricity to the proper price, maybe we should expel their representatives at the embassy in D.C. You know, and here in Florida, it's 58 degrees outside. I'm freezing. What's it like in Michigan right now? You're in Detroit. You know, the wind's coming. It's freezing, and they raise your electricity by 25%, and you're poor. You know, and Ford's sitting up there. I mean, come on.
Well, the prime minister, this lefty, on Sunday, his speech was all about an attack on Trump and the United States.
Well, this is an attack on the American people. This is a direct attack on the people of the United States. New York, Michigan, and what other states are affected. I appreciate the call, Richie. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Joanne from Pamela. Good morning.
Hey, Joanne.
I am wondering, I do not know, but I'm wondering if this is with Canada similar to the Panama Canal. Wasn't it the United States that built the power plants to use Niagara Falls for power?
I'm not sure. At least on our side of the border, I would imagine. I don't know. Good question.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering how they are running our power here.
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a very good question. You know, and I've listen, you attack you're in Tamarack, okay? I mean, it's cold in Florida right now, but it's not that cold. You raise the cost of electricity by 25%. Think about the economic hit that is in our coldest states next to Alaska. Excuse me, our coldest states this time of year. You could kill people. What Canada is doing could result in the death of people.
Well, I also would like to say you were wondering about them and the liquor. Apparently, they do not import anything from us except liquor. So that's what they're talking about.
Well, they seem like they've got a drinking problem up there because that's all they seem to talk about. I don't know what else they import. I don't know. I'm sure they use American ketchup and things. But this is a direct attack. There are people who will not put their heat at the proper temperature because of that 25% increase.
Well, it's terrible. I don't know how they can afford it. I mean, what are they going to do? I don't know what Trump can do about it, but how they're reacting is terrible. But I heard that the Mexican president is kind of...
She's been doing everything right. She's doing everything right. Appreciate the call from Tamarack. Stay warm in Tamarack. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Montana, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
I'm listening to how Canada is treating America. How much did Trump find out we've been giving Canada was $250 billion?
We're supporting their entire country. We're paying for their national defense. They're not paying. I was shocked to learn from Victor Davis Hanson that Canada isn't paying their NATO dues. We're covering them. We defend them because we're bordered with them. They're part of North America. We've got Alaska, which borders them. This free ride is we're supporting their entire country. They're welfare queens in Canada.
And they take it for granted, so they don't even show any appreciation. And
that's right.
Take that away from Canada and give it back to the American people.
They're like institutionalized, right? They're on the dole. Let me ask you: increasing the price of electricity by 25%, as Ford did yesterday. I consider that an attack on the American people. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you because if I'm not mistaken, I think Trump said if the other country lowered their taxes, he would do the same to them. But Canada just takes that for granted.
Trump's tariffs go into effect on April 2nd. Okay, he did that not just to help the automakers. He did that to give a window to negotiate and do the right thing. And Canada's taken these preemptive strikes and attacks on the American people. And they're out of control in Canada. And I promise you, Trump's not going to take too kindly to this.
And, take away that money we give to Canada, and they're pretty much done.
We got to shut the country down. We've got to respond to this. All right, Mark, appreciate the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Pete from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah, Brian, I've been listening to you for a long time. I think you're great, and I'm going to keep on listening. This thing with Canada it's really messed up, and I do believe, it's an attack on America.
Yeah. I mean, think about what it's like. You've got a family with young children, babies, and Canada just increased their electric bill 25% in our coldest states during some of the coldest times of the year. They targeted the electricity for that very reason.
Yeah, it's not right. They shouldn't do it. And but one side note, you started the program about SpaceX sending up the rescue mission. I tried calling you a couple of weeks ago when Gene Hackman died. Nobody had mentioned the movie that he was in called Marooned.
That's right.
And it's about a space rescue.
With Gregory Peck. I've seen it many times. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Marooned.
It was just coincidental that you mentioned that this morning, and I thought,
Poor Gene Hackman. Now that we find out what happened to him, what a sad way to go. Wandering around for a week with his dead wife in the house, and he was so out of it. It's just so sad.
Yeah, very much so, sir. But I very much appreciate your program, and I will continue to listen and support and go President Trump.
Absolutely, from Fort Lauderdale. That's right. Oh, man. By the way, I tried to watch French Connection over the weekend. That movie sucks, French Connection. I've not been able to get through the whole thing yet. I've tried twice. It is terminally boring. I love Gene Hackman, but not the French Connection. And there's something that he keeps asking people. Gene Hackman's character, Popeye Doyle, he keeps asking people if they picked their feet. What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means? He keeps asking people if they picked their feet. What does he keeps asking everybody this in the movie. But I like Roy Scheider too, but the French Connection sucks. It's awful. It's terminally boring. And I'm going to get through the whole thing. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. But I don't know what that means. Picked your feet. He even said it to like his lieutenant. I like Gene Hackman movies, but not the French Connection. In fact, I'll say out of all the Gene Hackman movies I've seen, I've not seen all of them. Out of all the Gene Hackman movies that I've seen, the French Connection's the worst. It's unwatchable. All right, we'll take our last break of the first hour and be right back. Okay. I've got more on Canada when we get back. Okay. Let's see. I'm talking with Mike the board out. I was texting Mike, but then I mistakenly texted Tom Laporta. I hate that. Don't you hate that? Okay. We'll be back in just over 1 minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. I see some Canadian voices in the chat. Butch up and call in. "45 seconds, we'll be back." If the trolls in the chat room from Canada are any indication of the guts of the average Canadian, Canada is going to lose this trade war pretty bad. It's pretty weak. All right, 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. You know, in my YouTube live streams, you guys, I've been doing this for many years, live streaming online while we're on the air. And I have 2 live streams going, actually, online with chat rooms when I'm on the air in the mornings. And there's all in my chat room today and yesterday is just filled with all these Canadian big mouths. And the keyboard warriors in the chat room. None of them have called in. The number's toll free from Canada too, 888-465-2631. And you know, if the cowardness of these Canadian keyboard warriors is any indication of how tough the average Canadian is, they're going to get whooped in this trade war like no one's business, because these Canadians in my chat room that are upset with Trump and us. They don't have any guts to even pick up. See, you gotta understand, Canada did not fight for their independence. Okay, they haven't fought for anything, in their entire nation's history, not alone. So I guess cowardness is kind of a Canadian thing. The only thing they got going for them is hockey. Keep your hockey. We don't care. Keep hockey. When I first saw curling at the Olympics a number of years ago, I thought it was a joke. I can't remember which Olympics this was. My daughter was really little. She was getting her tonsils out. I was at the hospital with her, and it was the Olympics were on, the Winter Olympics. This might have been the Winter Olympics in Canada. And they were showing curling, and I thought it was like a Saturday Night Live parody. And they had these women, and they're on the ice, and they have brooms, and they're sweeping the ice. And then there's this stone that's moving, and I thought it was a joke. I never heard of curling before, and I thought it was a joke. But it's an actual sport in Canada. You sweep the ice with a broom. That's a thing. Now, I want to tell you guys, if you or someone you know or love suffer from, it's true. Have you ever seen curling? Oh, my goodness. If you or someone you know and love suffer from neuropathy, I don't have to tell you, it's god-awful. It's living torture. The symptoms of neuropathy really make life almost unlivable, unbearable. It's awful. And Steve Kane had neuropathy, and he had all those terrible symptoms: the dizziness, the numbness, the tingling in the hands and the feet, no feeling at all. He had multiple symptoms at the same time. Many of them are in rotation, and they were so bad he couldn't get out of bed. And we had one of our cruises coming up, and it was three cruises ago. And we were a few months out from the cruise, and he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go because of the neuropathy. He couldn't get out of bed. And I did some searching, and I found Lighthouse Medical in Pompano. Steve went over there. After his first treatment, his neuropathy symptoms started to disappear. And now, not only did they rid him of all of those god-awful neuropathy symptoms, Lighthouse Medical, it's been about 3 years now since he had that treatment, and the symptoms have not returned. So Lighthouse Medical, their treatment for neuropathy not only works, it lasts. Give them a call. Now, they can help you even if you're not here in South Florida. No matter where you're located, they can help you with your neuropathy. But when you call, I'm going to give you the number. Make sure you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show, because you can take advantage of their no-charge consultation, which they only offer to our listeners, okay? The number is 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. That's 754-222-6642. And online, let me make sure I got it right. Yes. LighthouseMedicalCenter.com. LighthouseMedicalCenter.com. All right, we're back here, and we're waiting for our first brave Canadian. We'll be here for a long time. Oh, my goodness. Oh. Now, I had something happen to me today, and I'm going to throw this out. This is one of those what would you do things. And if you have, those of you that have listened to me for a long time over the years, I've always had adventures, things happen early in the mornings because I'm out and about so early in the mornings. And the level of things have changed based on, as I've gotten older, I've moved into nicer neighborhoods. Like when I lived in downtown Fort Lauderdale, I lived on a street right across from War Memorial Auditorium, which now is I was there a few weeks ago. I went to see Tom Laporta at the Greek Festival, and I went by my old apartment, and it was such a fancy, expensive area I couldn't believe. But when I lived there, it was like a crack neighborhood because that's all I could afford at the time. And I would run into people on my way to be on the air in the mornings it was just weird things. And it gave me a lot of interesting things to talk about. Outside of my apartment, a prostitute gave birth on the street and right behind where my car was parked. And let me tell you, have you ever seen a woman give birth out on a street? It's a mess, let me tell you. People would often try to sell me crack. Sometimes they'd offer to sell me sex. One time I always have stopped off early in the morning to get coffee. Remember I was talking about my addiction to coffee. I used to go to Dunkin' Donuts back then, and there was a Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sure there's still a Dunkin' Donuts in that general area, but it was on Sunrise Boulevard, directly across from what was then Peaches. It's now a Hustler store, okay? Across from there. And I had an incident that was so disturbing. I called the police when I got to the radio station because I didn't have a cell phone back then. But I saw some men who were in their 40s trying to solicit sex from some teenagers. And it was they were men trying to. It was really scary. There were at the time there were a lot of runaways down there in that part of town. It was not a nice area. It's very nice, a lot nicer now. And there was these teenagers. There was a guy and a girl, and they were like 15-ish. They were in front of this Dunkin' Donuts, and there were these two men who were like in their 40s. And they were trying to pay the teenage boy for sex. And they said things that were incredibly graphic that I couldn't believe. And they were trying to get him to leave the girl behind and go with them somewhere. And the radio station wasn't actually very far from there. And I called the police. And they didn't even want to do anything about it. This was like 25 years ago or more, maybe 30. So as I've moved into different neighborhoods, the problems I run into become a little less dangerous and bizarre, okay? So now that I'm in Boca, I go to Starbucks this morning to get my coffee, and Starbucks sadly has a policy that they want to do away with, but they have not done yet. They have a policy where homeless people can live outside of the Starbucks and use their facilities and everything. That's why I never use the bathroom at Starbucks. Homeless people use it. And there's a homeless guy at every Starbucks almost, and there's a homeless guy at the Starbucks that I went to this morning, who I've seen a few times. And as I'm walking in, he asks me if I will buy him a coffee, which Starbucks coffee is it's not cheap. You guys know that. And what am I going to do? I said, okay, what do you want? And he told me. And I didn't even have to order it. They had it ready when I went inside because I guess he regularly asks people. So I bought the homeless guy his coffee. And at Starbucks, we have very spoiled homeless people in Boca Raton, I'm here to tell you. Our homeless only drink Starbucks. Oh my goodness. But I did it because I go to this particular Starbucks all the time. He's there. I figure, is it worth this price of coffee, is it worth having to deal with the, the whatever could happen if I say no, as I come here all the time and he's always there. So my question is, what would you do? What would you do? Would you have bought now he did not get the most expensive coffee, but he's a regular because I didn't even have to order. They knew. They said, oh, this is for the guy. So they knew. I guess he does this all the time. But what would you do? Would you have bought the homeless guy the coffee? Or would you have said no and had to deal with him and have to look at him all the time, forever, right? So I bought the coffee. But I'm not going to do it as a regular thing. I mean, come on. But I did it today. I'm embarrassed to tell you. Okay, 1 hour down, 2 to go. We'll take our break for the top of the hour. We have much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name's Brian Craig. Our number toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. We'll be back after our top-of-the-hour break. And what would you do? I'm sure most people say, I wouldn't do it. But, people like to get really butch. Okay, yeah, I want to cover that. You got to cover that. I'm just queuing up some things for the next segment. This is my cat, by the way, Pepsi. This is Pepsi. Say hi, Pepsi. Okay, I got to be back shortly. Okay. Oh, yes. This article for sure I got to get into. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Talking with Mike, the board op, he tells me what time we're coming back and then what live commercials I have to do in the hour. So, let's see. There we go. I'm gonna go through this story on DeSantis. Yeah, that's Pepsi. Coca-Cola is somewhere else. I don't know where Coca-Cola is. We'll be back live on the air in 2 minutes, so if you're on hold, hang in there. I don't mind helping the guy, but it's a little expensive, and that could be a regular thing, Welcome, Delaware. It's one of those things. Yeah, we have upscale homeless people in this part of town. Let's see. We'll be back in just over 1 minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll take some more calls after the break. And then I'll take 1 or 2 calls, and then I'll recap what I talked about in the first hour, and then introduce some new issues, because there's a lot going on. A lot going on. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, okay? This is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. We'll be back on the air in 45 seconds. "30 seconds. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show. If you're on hold, stand by. A couple things here. I'll take some calls before I bring up anything new, because there's some other issues I want to go through. But I found out yesterday from the president, because he posted this on social media. Any of you have Amazon Prime, the TV, not the delivery? It's part of it. You get free deliveries with Amazon Prime if you got their TV app. He announced this yesterday, and I started watching it last night, watched the first episode. Donald Trump's Apprentice is now available on Amazon Prime. And I miss that show, and I love The Apprentice and The Celebrity Apprentice. I love that show. And it's been hidden from the public for years because they don't want to put it out there because it makes them look good. It's a great show. And I watched the first episode. The first season is the season with Omarosa. And it is so good. It's so good. I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to watch that whole series. I hope they drop all the seasons. But now they just have season 1. And it's on Amazon Prime. So check it out after 9 o'clock. After 9:30, guys. Okay? Don't do anything till after 9:30. Because you want to listen to the show after me, too. Okay, well, if you're on hold, let me take some calls before I do any recapping and bring up anything new. But I'm so glad that they're running the Apprentice again. All right, our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you lost your chance. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is David. I'm calling from Jupiter.
David in Jupiter. What's on your mind?
Oh, I was really enamored by your homeless story.
You probably have upscale homeless in Jupiter, too.
It's surprisingly they're not here. I've lived in major cities my whole life, and I live in Jupiter, near Tequesta, and we don't have a homeless situation at all. Because you got a lot of conservatives in Jupiter.
Boca's where the liberals are, sadly.
Well, they nip things in the bud here, Brian.
That's right.
In the bud. They don't allow it to get out of hand.
My only beef with Jupiter is they really should have a museum in Jupiter dedicated to the great Burt Reynolds, who made Jupiter famous.
I agree with you 100%. Mr. Maltz bought that space and created the Maltz Theater, and it's beautiful. If you're ever down here, you ever want to see a show,
yeah,
or up here, down here or up here,
you'd be up there for me.
Come on by. Yeah, they did a great job. He did a great job with it, and they have a great season. My mom got season tickets, and it's wonderful. I did want to share with you an experience I had. I lived in downtown Los Angeles for 2 years. And every time I would leave my house to, walk to Whole Foods or Shake Shack, and I would encounter the homeless, and they were my part of my community.
Yeah.
And I would, it would cost me anywhere from $10 to $20 every time I left my apartment.
Oh my goodness, you're crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Think about it. That's why I'm calling, because it's not crazy. And it was really good to see. I didn't know you had a heart until you told me this story about you helping the homeless.
You thought I was heartless?
Really, empathy and compassion. Well, I don't really think you have much empathy and compassion for the disenfranchised. But that's okay. That's a whole other story. And that's between you and your psychologist. So what I did want to share with you is I saw this homeless person. And I looked him in the eye, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he said, "Oh, just trying to get even, trying to, I said, "What could I do to help you today?" And he says, I could really use a cup of coffee." I said, "Great." So I go in the Whole Foods. I get a cup of, I said, "How do you like it?" Of course, right? I get a cup of coffee for him, me, something sweet. And I sit down with him for about 15 minutes, and I talk to him like I would talk to anybody else I just met. Where are you from? You got any children?
Oh my goodness!
And I treated him with humanity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end, once we finished our muffin and our coffee, I looked him in the eye and I said, "I love you." And you should have seen the expression on his face. It was like no one had told this person that anyone loved him in like forever. and he welled up and he grabbed my arm and he said, "I love you too." And I have to tell you, I've achieved. I've done a lot of things in my life, and I've achieved a lot of material success and blah blah
man.
blah.
First, you're out of your mind. I do notice when
nothing was more fulfilling than that, Brian.
Oh my gosh, you're out of your mind. When I go to Los Angeles,
warm up your heart.
When I go to Los Angeles to visit my daughter, there's a lot of homeless people there. Okay, I mean it's basically Los Angeles is a homeless encampment, the whole city. And I do find that the homeless of California are nicer than the homeless of Florida. There's just something about them. They're not. But here's the thing, okay? You said you think I'm heartless. My wife and I do a lot of charitable things for people in need. I just don't brag about it or do it to feel good about myself, okay? In fact, it's not really good to brag about charity you do. I don't like to even mention it. My wife does things like she'll buy groceries for people and things like this. She does this all the time. She does it for years, has done it for years. Even in times when we couldn't afford to do it, she does, and she would do it to help people. So, but I don't brag about my charity. So far as the homeless on the streets, how long have you lived in Florida?
Going to be 4 years in July.
Okay, you're kind of new to Florida, so you might not get this, but do you have any of those? You're in Jupiter. There's a lot of lakes and waterways in Jupiter. You know those ducks that we have in Florida? I forgot what they're called. It starts with an M. You know those ducks that are everywhere we have in all our lakes and ponds?
I don't know.
Yeah, because you're new to Florida. If you feed one of them, because they're so cute, you feed one of them, by that afternoon you're going to have 10. If you feed, a lot of times people will feed the ducks the bread, they're cute. You feed one, and the next thing you know, you got 10 that afternoon, and then the whole flock are there the next day. And the Muscovy ducks, and they get very demanding and start making noises, and then they leave their white droppings all over your driveway and sidewalk. That's how the homeless are. That's how the homeless in Florida are. If you feed them, you're asking for more.
You make a good point, right? A friend of mine would not give money to homeless, or he would give them a card, and on that card was numbers of services which they could call or go to get help. I don't know what kind of services Florida has for the homeless.
Are you a liberal?
I wouldn't label myself a liberal, no.
Well, what would you call yourself?
Well, I don't label myself because...
Oh, that means he's a liberal, guys. He's a liberal.
No, here's what it creates, Brian. It creates separation.
Why are you ashamed to admit what you are? Come out of the closet and admit it.
Let me finish, Brian. Let me finish. I'm going to answer your question. So I asked my friends, based on how I live and what I do, what do you think I am? And they said to me, "You're a libertarian." I said, "Oh, okay. What? I believe in freedom. Sure. I don't even."
No, you're not a libertarian. You are a liberal in denial. You're a liberal in denial.
You can't. You don't know me. You can't label.
I know a lot about you by this ego gratification story of how you're a better man because you told a homeless guy you loved him.
Because I care about people who are less fortunate than me.
Yeah.
You should try it, Bob.
Yeah, you're a bleeding heart liberal. All right, listen, I got to run, but thanks for the call from Jupiter. It's hard to imagine there's liberals in Jupiter. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess there are. I know some liberals that live there, sadly. All right, listen, we'll take our first break of this hour. Call us on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to do a little recapping from the top of the show at 6, and then get into some new things. No, that guy's a liberal. He's a liberal. He's just embarrassed. I don't blame him. I'd be embarrassed to be a liberal, too. He knows enough to be embarrassed by it, but he's a liberal. We'll be back in 2 minutes. By the way, where are these? Why are there so many wimpy Canadians in the live chat? I keep seeing these Canadians in the live chat. None of them have the guts to call in. Is Canada a nation of cowards? They really take advantage of people in Canada. Really? Their people have it tough up there. We'll be back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. Yeah, I mean, I see all these butch Canadians in the chat room, but they don't, I haven't talked to one. I don't think we've got, during this entire attack on our nation, I don't think we've heard from a Canadian. Less than a minute, we'll be back. A waste of time talking to you. You're talking to me now, Bobo, whatever your name is, Bobo. You're talking to me now in the chat. Just over 30 seconds, we'll be back. Maybe there's just not a lot of national pride. I don't know. Oh, what book would that be? Mao's Little Red Book? All right, here we go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. And I was talking at the top of the hour. We have all of these very butch Canadians in my chat room, on my live streams, online. And none of them have have had the guts to call in. So what we hear from the Canadian leaders is their primary concern is the price of alcohol. So obviously there's an alcoholism epidemic in Canada, and there also seems to be an epidemic of being yellow, cowardness. Now, I want to tell you guys about the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's. Sloman's is going to give you a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. You know, this makes a great gift, too, for mom, dad, even your adult children. But it's also great for you, too. Sloman's is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts for the doors and windows, a lifetime warranty, plus a backup battery, and you'll receive a free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call. This is the easiest number in the world to remember. I don't know how they got this number. This is a great number. 1-800-ALARM-ME. 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. Get that free doorbell camera. 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right, I want to recap a couple things I opened up with at 6. And there's a lot of new things that I want to cover as well. The first one, I just want to I'm not going to go through the whole thing that I did in the first hour, but I do want to recap it because it looks like Ukraine may have attacked the United States yesterday. X was hit by a massive cyber attack, and about this time yesterday, I was having problems getting on X. I was on X, but I could only go so far into my feed, which means the only part I guess I could see was the part already loaded into my computer. And I wasn't able to access all of my show prep. And I thought it was just a technical problem on my end. And then when I got off the air, I found out that there had been a massive global cyber attack on X, which these things happen from time to time. You hear about these things. But then Elon Musk was interviewed by Kudlow on Fox Business yesterday, and this was going viral on X after the cyber attack was repelled. Listen.
There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced.
Yes.
It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Wow. Okay, so the cyber attack was from Ukraine. And, of course, Elon Musk has been under massive attack. Car dealerships carrying Teslas have been attacked and vandalized. People driving Teslas around America have been attacked in the streets by lunatic liberals. You've seen all this, right? People have even shot at Teslas. And most Teslas are driven by liberals. So liberals are attacking their own people. President Trump said he's going to buy a Tesla today as a show of support for Elon Musk. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Well, it's pretty frightening. And Elon Musk is playing a large role in ending this war with Russia and Ukraine. And Elon Musk said over the weekend to get Zelensky to the peace table and to sign the ceasefire, Trump should cut off the money to the Ukrainian billionaires that control Zelensky. And then the next day, out of the Ukraine, we get attacks on X that brought it down. It was inactive. I couldn't access it for a while. You probably couldn't either if you were trying. So I consider, and this is the number one source of news is X on the planet. Elon Musk is the president of the United States' best friend and a senior advisor to the president of the United States. He's also a top man in the Trump administration who tomorrow, Elon Musk, will be launching a rocket to rescue the stranded astronauts, the first space rescue in the history of the American-made manned space program, maybe in the history of all manned space programs, the first space rescue, which is so historic. I was talking about how NASA let the Columbia astronauts die. They knew the heat shield had malfunctioned and they would die, but they had no way to rescue them back then. Now Elon Musk is going to make history and launch the first rescue in the history of the manned space program, and the launch is tomorrow. I believe Ukraine has attacked America, the president, and our country by doing this. It's insane what happened here. Now, who was it? It was in the Ukraine area, he said. Was it the billionaires? Was it Ukraine? I don't know. Maybe. But this is unacceptable. Unacceptable. Couple other things. After the bottom of the hour, I came across an article about Ron DeSantis and Trump that I'm going to share with you after the bottom of the hour break. It's a very strange article that brings up some very strange things about Ron DeSantis and Casey DeSantis and Trump and DeSantis, and I'm going to go through this after the bottom of the hour, so stay tuned for that. Very bizarre. Just a very bizarre happening. Now, I was also talking earlier about Canada. Okay, so Canada, Ontario has increased the tariffs on electricity by 25% into the United States in the coldest time of the year. I was talking in the last hour about how this is almost an act of war. Maybe it is an act of war against the United States to raise people's electricity bill the coldest time of the year in Michigan and New York by 25%. So they've got this new prime minister that they have everything wrapped up in, Connie, who's a social justice warrior, and he's also a climate justice warrior. Okay? This is nuts. That you would put someone who's such a left-wing lunatic in charge of your country, but they're installing him with just 131,000 votes. He received less than 132,000 votes. It's very bizarre, and I find it hard to believe that the majority of the nearly 40 million Canadian people support a social justice, climate justice warrior to lead their country, especially in such a difficult time. But yesterday, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, I'd forgotten her. They change prime ministers in Canada faster than any country I've seen. That's a first world nation. This is I've forgotten her name. It's not important. Who needs to know? But she's the most recent lady PM they had, Prime Minister, and she has some knowledge of this new Canadian Prime Minister, Connie, and some dysfunctions with him. Listen.
Just wanting to get your thoughts on Mark Carney and your relationship with him while you were Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and any advice you have to Canadians who think he might make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Mark Carney was Governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy and put our economy off track. He, at the last election, endorsed Rachel Reeves' economic policy.
So if you listen to this guy, he's a disaster. He's an economic disaster who thinks he's an economist.
Just wanting to get your thoughts on Mark Carney and your relationship with him while you were Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and any advice you have to Canadians who think he might make a good Prime Minister.
Well, Mark Carney was Governor of the Bank of England, and under his tenure, too much money was printed, which did damage to the British economy.
Okay, now that's one of the major causes of inflation. Printing too much money devalues the currency. So he devalued the British pound, caused inflation.
And put our economy off track. He, at the last election, endorsed Rachel Reeves' economic policy. She's now become Chancellor. It's been a disaster for Britain. The country is heading for bankruptcy. So I would strongly recommend not backing Mark Carney or his policies on net zero, which have been disastrous for Britain and would be disastrous for Canada.
Is net zero their climate justice thing, like net zero carbon emissions? I think that might be what that is.
Do you trust his judgment overall, outside of ideological considerations?
Well, I believe that he made major mistakes in the management of the Bank of England. He has pushed net zero, which has been a disaster, not just for the UK, but for many countries across the world.
Thanks for your time, Prime Minister. I appreciate it.
Wow. So there you have a former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom pointing out what an economic disaster their new Prime Minister is. And his big push there is for the net zero. I wonder how much money in stock he holds in these climate companies like Al Gore. Oh, my goodness. So they put an economic disaster in charge of their country in Canada during an economic trade war with the largest, greatest economy in the world, the United States. Oh, my goodness. Who's going to win this one? Trump or Carney? Give me a break. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll take a break and be right back. We'll be back in just over a minute. So if you're on hold, hang in there. Isn't this a super cool new Trump hat? I just got this yesterday. And my wife surprised me with it. Because President Trump was wearing one the other day. He liked it. I said, oh, I want one of those. We'll be back in less than a minute. 30 seconds. Mm. 5 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We've passed the halfway mark of today's show, and it seems like I just opened up the mic. The show is flying by. If you're on hold, hang in there. So, yesterday, the United States, I want you to think about how warped the mind is of the American liberal. We were, according to Elon Musk, we were attacked by Ukraine. Massive cyber attack on X yesterday, crippling X, knocking X down out of Ukraine. We were attacked by Ukraine. Then Canada attacks the American people by raising electricity cost to Michigan and New York and some other northern states by 25% effective immediately during the coldest months of the year when heat is life. Those are two attacks by foreign powers on the United States. But Trump's the bad guy? We're supposed to take these attacks? Then, yesterday, we have an Islamic spy in America who is causing attacks on Americans, who is leading anti-Semitic attacks in America at Columbia University. President Trump's team revoke his student visa. They arrest him and are getting ready to deport him. And then an Obama-appointed federal judge votes to keep or makes a ruling to stop the deportation. They should go through with it. In fact, in the future, don't tell us about these arrest and deportations until they're back in Syria, Egypt, or wherever else they're from. And I'm watching these liberals all over television and on social media telling us that the First Amendment applies to everyone in this country, not just Americans. We know that. I saw one liberal, he said, MAGA, they think that the First Amendment only applies to Americans. That's not true. We know the Constitution applies to everyone inside the United States, not just American citizens. We know that. But this Muslim jihadi supporter, he is an enemy propagandist who is over here stirring division and spreading hate. And to allow this guy who's a foreign actor in this country to do the work of Iran, which is what he's doing, is insane to me. But I saw David Hogg dropped a video even so, the First Amendment, they're against young people, that Trump's trying to stop young people. David Hogg doesn't understand that you're only young for so long and then you're old. He's always fighting for young people. He's getting up there himself. So that's where the left are today. But Trump's the bad guy? Are you out of your mind? And I give you an example. Yesterday, Congress, they passed a bill in the House to go against, to shut down the drug cartel tunnels into the United States. Those underground tunnels on the southern border where they smuggle deadly fentanyl, other drugs, and people. And Rashida Tlaib was the only vote in the House of Representatives yesterday to vote against shutting down the Mexican drug cartel tunnels. She's like the guy at Columbia that they're trying to deport. She's working for the other side. You know, we have people in this country who use our student visa program or anchor baby status and things that we have over here to do all kinds of evil things in this country. And for the first time, they're being called out. Now, before I get into this, I get this article that I found yesterday about Donald Trump and DeSantis I want to share. But I want to throw a couple other things out before I do that. Tucker Carlson confirmed yesterday, and I've seen other reporting on this outside of Tucker Carlson lately, but Tucker Carlson mentioned it yesterday, so it's getting a lot of play. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican, apparently has his entire life dedicated to stopping the JFK files from being released. And Tucker Carlson was talking to Chris Cuomo about this on Tucker Carlson's program yesterday. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why Tom Cotton is trying to stop the JFK files from being released. And Tucker didn't have too many ideas on that either. You know, when you talk about the Kennedy assassination, it was so long ago, the only people that could have been involved with what happened on that day in Dallas, almost all of them are dead. If they're alive, they're so old they don't even know what's going on, right? Biden is youthful compared to anybody else that could have been involved. They got to be old men in diapers somewhere, okay? So why, and this is a big mystery. I don't have the answer. Tucker didn't have the answer. Why is Tom Cotton fighting the release of the JFK files? Now, there's one other thing I want to get to that's a follow-up on yesterday's show. It's really, you know, it's an interesting thing sometimes. There'll be a mention of something on the program, and we don't talk about it too much. But then after the show, I'll get lots of DMs about it or emails from people after the show throughout the day. And sometimes it's because people are listening to the show online somewhere and they didn't hear the show live. But yesterday, a lunatic, an anti-Semitic lunatic, called in about the USS Liberty, which was an American ship that was attacked by mistake in a friendly fire incident during the 6-day war that Israel had with the Muslim world. And off the top of my head, was the 6-day war not like in 67? What year was the 6-day war? I think it was in 1967. And I just want to talk about this because there's a lot of misinformation going on out there about a couple of things. One is this USS Liberty situation. Donald Trump is about to end the Ukrainian-Russian war. As we speak, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Florida's own, is in Saudi Arabia negotiating a peace with the Russians and the Ukrainians. When that's done, his next focus is going to be on what he mentioned several times doing with Gaza, relocating the Palestinians to Syria, Egypt, and I forgot the third country he mentioned. Or was there a third? I think there were three, but I do remember Syria, which is where most Palestinians are anyway. And that is going to be a very controversial move. Liberals in this country and the media who would hate on Trump if he came out today with a cure for cancer and AIDS, they would be telling you what a bad thing it was, okay? That's it. You know how they operate. But he's the first person to come through with a plan to end the endless bloodshed with Israel and the Palestinians. And it's going to be very controversial. He's going to be putting up with a lot of grief about it. And there's a lot of anti-Semitism going on. And I noticed there's an obsession over the USS Liberty. And I'm pretty sure it was the Six-Day War was in 1967. If I'm wrong, I'm only wrong by a year either way, but I'm pretty sure it was 67. And what happened with the USS Liberty, I had a caller about this yesterday, but he dropped a word. We had the dump, and I didn't continue the conversation. I had to let him go. But I got a lot of DMs from listeners, anti-Semitic listeners about this. And the USS Liberty friendly fire incident, and these things sadly happen. Look at Tillman, right? Terrible. In the Six-Day War, Israel was in a major, major fight against Syria and Egypt. The whole Muslim world had attacked Israel. And Egypt was using naval vessels to do it. They were blocking off and putting, Israeli shipping. And it goes, I'm not going to give you a history of the Six-Day War. I mean, I'm not an expert on it. I just have a very, very basic knowledge of the Six-Day War. It happened 4 years before I was born. But this USS Liberty is being incident and tragedy is being promoted at a level that is insane to me. And it's like getting bigger and bigger every day. It's like a snowball effect, this USS Liberty. Now, it's in large part because in the last few months, Candace Owens, who's probably one of the most well-known anti-Semites of our time, did an entire program with a crewman who was on the Liberty on that day. Without question, it was a friendly fire incident. I asked the caller yesterday, why would Israel attack a United States vessel? And the USS Liberty was a U.S. spy ship off the coast of Israel who was working for Israel, I'm sure, gathering intelligence there at the time. It was the Liberty was attacked. They have all these things. It had U.S. flags on, American flags on it. The Liberty was hit 3 times, 2 of them from the air. The third one by boat, which I'll tell you about too. The first attack knocked down the flagpole, but it was attacked by fighter jets, and the fighter jets' radio recording still exists. They didn't know it was an American ship. They thought it was Egyptian. The fighter jets that fired on the Liberty fired from 3,000 feet, too high up to see the flags, okay? And they fired from 3,000 feet. And I don't know how fast fighter jets of 1967 went, but they were going 700, 800, 900 miles an hour, I would guess. And it was 3,000 feet. They thought it was an Egyptian ship. They fired. And if I remember correctly, now I could be corrected on this, there might have been 2 incidents, one after the other, of Israeli fighters from 3,000 feet hitting the Liberty. After that, after the flag did go down on that first hit, 3,000 feet is too high to see the flags. And remember, this was a spy ship that was also somewhat undercover as to what it was doing. They did raise another flag, and a short time later, I don't know how long later. Again, I haven't looked into the USS Liberty in many years, so what I'm sharing with you is just off the top of my head, and I'm only bringing this up today because I got so much feedback about this, that people have so much information about this. After the air attack, okay, a couple of Israeli gunboats approached the Liberty. They asked the Liberty to identify itself. The captain of the Liberty's response was not identifying themselves, but asking them to identify themselves first. The Israelis took this as a hostile act, and the Liberty was virtually unarmed, but they had some machine guns, fired briefly on the Israeli gunboats. There was some firing back, and then it was resolved and figured out. Okay? It was a tragedy. American sailors were killed. Over 100 were injured. Over the years, the Israelis did pay reparations. It doesn't bring back anyone who was killed, however. I get that. But it was sadly a friendly fire incident. And as of late, this is a recent thing, mostly around this attack on the music festival. Since that period forward, there's been so much promotion of this Liberty incident, which, by the way, was what, 58 years ago, 57 years ago. Okay, so this incident, this friendly fire incident from 57 years ago, is being mischaracterized as a purposeful attack on the United States by Israel, which is insane. But think about this. You're judging the situation today on a friendly fire incident that happened in 57 years ago. 57 years before that, it was 1910, okay? So in 1967, would you be judging somebody by what happened in 1910? That's crazy. I don't think so. It's like 100 years ago, all right? It was without question a friendly fire incident, but the internet is overloaded with a bunch of plagiarists who are copying and pasting, basically, this false narrative that Candace Owens gave a lot of credibility to. Now, you guys do your own research on the USS Liberty, okay? And I haven't looked into it in many years, but I'm familiar with it. Sadly, friendly fire incidents happen. And when we were involved in Bosnia, when Wesley Clark was in command of NATO forces in Bosnia, a United States fighter jet launched a rocket and blew up a Chinese TV station or TV crew that were broadcasting from a building there in Bosnia. Remember that? It was an accident. In war zones, sometimes these things unfortunately happen. Okay? Now, some things are not friendly fire. Like, some things are done on purpose. But without question, in my opinion, the Liberty is a friendly fire incident. And not only that, it's being used today by... Now, a lot of the people that are promoting it are too uneducated to understand what really happened there. All right? But do your own research on it. I don't really tell people to do it. I'm not giving you homework like Rachel Maddow, okay? But don't just take my word for it. And by the way, by research doesn't mean watch Candace Owens talking about it. Read up on it and come to your own conclusion, okay? All right, we'll take our last break of the second hour and be right back. We'll be back in less than a minute, guys. I'm just reading a couple articles I'm going to talk about when we get back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. I want to tell everyone about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, I've lost over 25 pounds with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. It's amazing. You know, I thought to lose weight, you had to starve yourself, at the same time exercise. You know, I thought I was going to have to be like Matthew Modine in Vision Quest. I mean, I really did. But none of that. I've lost over 25 pounds. I'm eating all the food that I like. I'm not eating any weirdo food. I'm not on any medications. I'm not taking Ozempic or anything, or any of those similar types of drugs. I'm taking nothing. And did I mention I'm not doing any exercising? That's exactly right. It's amazing. And yeah. And it's so nice. I'm running into people now, and they're saying, wow, you've lost a lot of weight, Brian. You've lost a lot of weight. In fact, this weekend on Sunday, I'm going to pack for the cruise. And I usually pack the night before the cruise, but I'm packing early because I've lost so much weight. I want to try my cruise clothes on as I'm packing in case I have to buy some new things or have my suit and jackets altered so they fit. I've lost that much weight. It's absolutely amazing. Do what I did. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. And, you know, not only do I feel better, I'm looking better. I've noticed my skin is even like glowing. And I also have more energy than I've had since I was a kid. As you lose weight, you have more energy. It's amazing. When you call Coastal Weight Loss and you go see Dr. Zuckerman over there, make sure you tell him you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. All right? The number's 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. coastalweightlossecret.com. Okay, one last thing, and this is also quick. And then after the top of the hour, we can go back to the phones, and I've got some other news stories that I want to talk about. But, you know, the MAGA world right now, we are on top of the world. Okay, you know, there's a lot of, you know, this trade war and things that are going on. You hear people panicking over the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones is only like 30 stocks. It's an average of 30 stocks. There are over 2,000 stocks listed on the New York Stock Exchange, and I'm not even including NASDAQ. There's even more on NASDAQ, right? But there are over 2,000 stocks, and the Dow Jones is just 30. It's an average of them, okay? So how do you judge the entire economy based on 30 stocks? Most people that are obsessing over the Dow Jones don't even own stocks. And President Trump, he had one of those unscheduled press conferences on Air Force One back to D.C. the other day, and one of the reporters, are we in a recession? Are we entering a recession? The media are very stupid people with an activist agenda, and they're always trying to create negative narratives, and they're desperate to get this recession narrative going. The R word, it's a nasty word. They're trying to get the president to say there's a recession. They're just desperate to get him to say it, get people around him to say it, and to craft a false narrative that we're in a recession. We're not. And, you know, the thing about what's going on with the Dow Jones Industrial Average of its 30 stocks, there's a few things in play. One of them is there's massive cuts in government spending over Trump. The war in Ukraine's winding down. There's no more money going to be going over there. Doge has cut government spending like no one's business. And Biden was pouring money into the government. Government money into the stock market to artificially inflate it. These big companies have become dependent on money from the federal government, and now they're being cut off. It's having an impact. But also because the Dow Jones, I'm no economics expert, okay? That's why you call Joe Thomas. He's the expert, not me, okay? But one thing I've learned in my life about the stock market is these big hedge fund guys in New York can manipulate it. Remember Kramer was talking about that years ago, got himself in a little trouble publicly for that years ago? The CNBC guy. And the when you're looking at the Dow, when it's just 30 stocks, these big hedge fund types that are really ticked off at Trump, okay? They are ticked off at Trump, boy, because he's cutting off the government money to them at such incredibly huge levels, all right? Do you put it past them to do manipulations to bring the Dow down so that Trump can have some negative economic press? I wouldn't put it past them. And I'd be shocked if that wasn't part of what's in play. So there's no recession. There's no problems. Now, there may be a correction. You know, these people can't live off the government any longer. I get that. But things are going very well, and the tax bill hasn't even come yet. You know, the people that keep asking about the economy are people that want it to fail right now. You know, on MSNBC over the weekend, remember that over the weekend that SpaceX launch exploded? They were laughing about it on MSNBC. They were so excited. I'm serious. They were actually laughing about it. You may have seen it. The clip's gone viral online. They thought it was funny. So this is what you have in the press. They want the economy to tank under Trump, and if it doesn't, they're going to report that it is anyway. That's how bad they are. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. We only have less than a minute left till the break, so not enough time to take any of these calls. But if you'd like to call in, we will take calls after the top of the hour. And I do want to go through this article about Trump and DeSantis because I thought it was very interesting and reveals some things. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening to us, 888-465-2631. You're welcome to call in about anything I've brought up in the last 2 hours. I do have some new things I am going to bring up in the next hour, but you're welcome to call in about anything I've brought up in the first 2 hours of the program. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. I can't believe it. I know. And we are just 18 days away from our 6th annual cruise. I'm so excited about that. Those of you that are our cruisers, I can't wait to see you. We're going to have a great time. All right, we'll take our break for the top and be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you want to call in, the number's pinned in the chat. Hey, Scott, it's Brian. Hey, Scott, I'm going to put you on hold. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, and I'll go right to you. Hold on. If you're on hold, hang in there. That's Scott from Cut My Kilowatts. Yeah, if you're on hold, hang in there. Stretching my knees a little bit. The show is flying by today. Flying by. Less than a minute. Starlink. I'm guessing Starlink is part of the missile shield they're putting in place. I think Starlink, he launches rockets pretty much every day. I see them all the time. And Starlink satellites. I think Starlink is part of the U.S. military, U.S. government, U.S. deep state. Very likely part of this missile defense shield that President Trump's talking about. They launched so many satellites. That'd be my guess. It's launching too many for just to be for the internet. 10 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. The third hour has begun, and it's time to check in with Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, who's going to tell you how you're going to save big money on your electric bill every month forever. Scott, what do you have for us today?
Hey, Brian. This is Scott, and right now it's a chilly 58 degrees out there, and no one's thinking about their insulation or their radiant barrier, but like within a month or two, the dog days of summer are going to be upon us. And up to 90% of your heat gain comes from your roof and your attic.
Yeah.
And it's probably the cheapest thing you can do to lower your electric bill, the biggest percentage. Like impact windows and doors are great. Some people save, 10, 20%, but they spend 60, 70, 80, even $100,000 on those. My average bill is under $5,000. Most of them, if it's a small house, it could be $1,000 or $2,000. Okay, it's the improvements I do are so affordable. The government's giving you a 30% tax credit on it, and usually people have their money back from their savings on their FPL bill within, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, and
some a little longer if they have a really big house.
And those of you, and this because it's chilly today. When the weather's cool, you save a lot of money when you call Scott from Cut My Kilowatts because his crew have to go in your attic to do the installation of the radiant barrier. And when it's hot out, they can only be up there for a few minutes at a time because it's a health risk. It's dangerous. Now when it's cool, they can be in the attic longer. They get the job done faster. And that cuts down on the labor cost. And Scott, you pass that savings on to our listeners. Can you tell people about that?
Absolutely, Ryan. Right now, Brian. Right now, people, are getting it. It's giveaway prices that I charged less than 15 years ago because I've gotten so efficient in the work we do. I have such a good crew. Everybody loves the crew. We've never had a complaint. Never really had any issues with any people that we've done work for from the radio station. And if we ever did, we fixed them. If they were small, we took care of it. It's just radiant barrier just literally is like putting a shade tree over your home. It reflects the sun the sun right back out your roof. And when people cut down shade trees, they call me all the time because their electric bill goes up $200-$300.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It's a no-brainer.
Or a hurricane takes a tree. Then you got the sun coming in.
It's a no-brainer. It pays for itself, and your house becomes more cool, less humid. Your AC lasts longer, runs less, needs less maintenance. The line doesn't plug up as much because it's not running all the time, condensating. It's a game changer for the house. And and literally, it's
no doubt
$dollar compared to impact windows. Or even a new AC's, pushing 10, 15, 20 grand these years. And we also do ductwork. We do insulation. I mean, if you're just looking for, a cheap insulation job, we got you there. I just tell you what I can do for you, and you choose. You're the boss. I don't push anything on anyone.
Okay, well, so listen, I'm going to give you Scott from Cut My Kilowatts' cell phone number. You can call or text, and let me tell you, no one calls back faster than Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, and I know a lot of people, okay? 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. All right, Scott, we'll talk later in the week.
Hey, I hope to hear from everybody sooner or later. And sooner than later, and God bless America, and God bless President Trump.
That's right. Take care, Scott. Scott's a good guy. He's been with us for many years on the program. Okay, let's go back to our phones that are ringing off the hook. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Just from Canada.
Hey, Canada.
How are you, Brian?
I'm doing well.
What an honor to speak to you finally. I've been a long-time listener all through the whole election. I love you up here in Canada. We're like prisoners up here.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
I got a question. I got a question for you. Is alcoholism a big is alcoholism a big problem in Canada? Because all of your leaders, all they talk about are the tariffs on American alcohol.
Oh, what a disgrace. No, it's not. You know what? We've been taken over by a liberal government. There was no election up here. He was put in just almost exactly like Kamala. They knocked out Justin Trudeau, who was terrible, and they put in his guy, who was even worse.
Well, isn't there a scheduled election in October in Canada?
Technically, they're supposed to be, but here's what I think is going to happen. This clown Connie is going to invoke the Emergency Measures Act, like they did on the truckers, which was ridiculous. And they'll say we're in a trade war, or they'll say something. They'll light their hair on fire, and all of a sudden they'll suspend the election. That's what I think could happen.
Well, let me ask you though. What part of Canada are you in, by the way?
I'm right in Ontario. Right by Toronto.
Ontario. So Ford's your premier.
Oh, that big fat slob. What's he doing?
Wasn't his brother the crackhead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And the crack apple doesn't fall far from the crack tree, I don't think, in that family.
He must be smoking some of the crack his brother left behind.
Brian,
what's
he doing threatening to cut off the power? And you know that guy, our premier, owns about 6 houses in Florida. He's got a business in Chicago. He's a fraud, too.
Oh, really?
A whole bunch of them are frauds.
What's the attitude, though, among your Canadian friends and family up there about this whole incident? Because in the United States, we feel taken advantage of by Canada.
And you know what? You're not wrong. Not wrong. It's been a long time where it's been a one-way. You know, you're our big brothers. You always protect us, and it's almost an inferiority complex, I feel. Now I'm gonna probably hear about this, but a lot of us feel the same way. You know, we got to get along with you guys. You guys are. Without the United States, Canada can't exist as we do. We're a great country up here.
Well, you know, we love Canada and Canadians, and we know. Hey, listen, we
love you.
We were held hostage by this rogue regime the last 4 years. So you know, who's running your country is not always a reflection of its people. But one of the things that Trump's going up against he's leading an end to the globalist control. And the Liberal Party in Canada is part of the globalist movement. And the globalists are losing their stranglehold on the country. That's one of the reasons Carney and Ford are doing the things they're doing.
Yep. Now imagine on your end when they pulled the switcheroo and knocked out Sleepy Joe and put in Kamala. What if they'd made Kamala president right then and there?
Oh my goodness, that's what just happened to you.
And then they said we're not. And then, like Ukraine, they suspend all further elections.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, up here in Canada, we've got a third party of lunatics called the NDP. And the NDP have been holding us hostage because they team up with the Liberals. So they formed what they call a coalition government. So there's two of the top three parties. We've got our Conservatives, which are generally good. But for whatever reason, orange man bad, it's trendy.
Yeah.
I love Donald Trump. I love President Trump. My family hates him. I don't talk to my family anymore. Oh, you know what? They're all nuts.
Well,
but there's
during the trucker demonstrations, I was shocked that in Canada, police officers were showing up at people's homes because of posts they put on social media. You really don't have freedom of speech up there.
No, we don't. They took it away. And the Liberal government has purchased most of the media. They own the CBC. It's state-run media.
Could you get in trouble talking to me?
You know what, Brian? I was talking to a few of my friends the other night, and any time we started talking, we got cut off. Probably a coincidence, but our lines. I don't know. I imagine I could technically if I wrote it all down. I'd certainly get backlash from all the loudmouth liberals.
Yeah.
We've got them all up here too.
Well,
and you know what they are? They scream the loudest. Everything's horrible. And one can, if you keep hearing that crap, all of a sudden it becomes true.
See, now I could be wrong about this, but my guess is the majority of the Canadian people are where you're at. And you've got these out of touch liberals that have this coalition government that are representing the minority of Canadians.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Absolutely. We've got a plurality of government up here. We've got a three-party race. It's the Conservatives, the Liberals, and then the NDP, who are the crazy liberals. They're the liberals who don't think they're as liberal, or they're a little more out there.
Yeah.
And say it's 35-38 for votes out of 100, then the NDP will come in with whatever 10 or 12 or 15 seats that they end up with, but that'll be enough if they team up with the Liberals, because you got to get 50%.
Well, listen, I got to run for a break, but I'll tell you this: with just a couple of posts, maybe just one on Truth Social, President Trump brought regime change and brought down Trudeau in Canada.
He sure did.
And this guy Carney could find himself in the same position.
Carney's barely Canadian.
Really? Why do you say that? What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, he's been living in England. He holds a passport in Britain.
What? You've got a prime minister that holds a British passport? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He also, and he's got his businesses. He's moved his business down to the America.
Really?
So it's just so hypocritical up here, Brian. It's a nightmare. A lot of us love President Trump.
Well,
we love him.
Well, listen,
a lot of people are uninformed.
President Trump,
and we're not all alcoholics.
Well, Ford thinks you guys are. He's obsessed with. Maybe he's just a drunk. But
Ford may be a boozer. I spent 15 minutes talking to Mr. Ford's office.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, watch your words.
Yeah.
Words matter. When he's going on about cutting off electricity, just ridiculous. I apologize for my government.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Well, listen, I appreciate the call. I got to run for the break, but I appreciate the call.
Kicking in my door any time now.
Okay, take care. So you can even hear the Canadian accent. That guy's for real. He's from Ontario. All right. It's like Radio Free Canada. We're getting calls in. Johnny has a long mustache. Anybody know that reference? Oh, man. All right. Hey, let's take our first break of the third hour. Call us on hold standby. If you'd like to call in, you're welcome to call in about anything over the last 2 hours and 16 minutes. Our number 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. 15. We'll be back in less than 90 seconds. Great call from Canada, I must say. 1 minute. We'll be back in 1 minute. Welcome. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe, all right? And if you're already subbed, please like and share the video if you don't mind. That helps a lot. 30 seconds. Red Dawn, that's right. Johnny has a long mustache. The chair is against the door, and Johnny has a long mustache. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Great call from Canada. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Yeah,
Brian from Deerfield.
Hey, Brian, what's up? Brian, go ahead.
Brian?
Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Brian. If you talk about leadership problems, if we look at some leadership problems that we have in our country, did you see Hakeem Jeffries' speech, I think it was the other day, for the Democratic Party?
Yeah.
Where basically all he kept repeating is, we've got them on the run, they're on the run, we got them on the run, they're on the run. I don't know what he was getting at or what he was saying, but he almost looked like he was not really with it too well.
You know what he looked like? He looked shell-shocked, like the big financiers of the Democrat Party had to talk to him. You know?
Yeah.
I remember when Harry Reid, Harry Reid,
minority leader, isn't he?
Yeah, Harry Reid lost an election, and then the next time we saw him, his face was all bruised. Remember that? He said he fell on the treadmill. Come on.
Yeah, Harry Reid out of Nevada, wasn't it?
Yeah. He got a tune-up.
But this speech yesterday, when the Democratic Party really are just they're falling into oblivion, they're falling into an abyss here. You would think that their leader could come up with a better rallying speech than, well, we got him on the run, and just keep repeating that same statement over and over and over without referring as to what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the leadership in the Democratic Party.
They have no leaders. That's good. We don't want them to have leaders.
That's not too good.
No. I mean, that's great. That's how they're in big trouble. They got nothing.
They are. They're in very, very, very big trouble. But for that's one of the worst. That's one of the worst speeches I ever saw. A time when a political party desperately needed some type of a boost.
And you know, Trump's
give
been
him a shot in the arm, and this guy comes out with that. It was better if he didn't say anything.
And what Trump's been
I
doing.
think that's the worst speech I ever saw by a leader or majority leader ever.
And Trump Trump's not only doing a lot of great things. He's brought in great leaders. You know, Pete Hegseth as an example. Okay, Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
He fired a lady Air Force lieutenant general over the weekend.
Wow.
And you know he got rid of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, some other generals. And if you notice,
that was a big one. Getting the Joint Chiefs out, that was a big one.
But you notice there hasn't been a lot of blowback from the left or the media on letting any of these generals go. The female, the black chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
It's really amazing. It shows you how weak in their position. Their hand they're playing now is so weak that they're just getting steamrolled, which is a pleasure to see, and they deserve it.
Mm.
But I thought Pete might have a little trouble with the Defense Department against the 4-star generals and that. But no, not really. No, not as long as he got Trump in his corner. He's doing great. They're all doing great.
And I thought when he started letting go the generals and the admirals, I thought there would be meltdowns from the left. And these DEI generals and admirals, they even the left can't defend them.
Well, you would think there'd be more blowback against that instead of going out and firebombing Tesla dealerships.
But I'll tell you who looks nervous to me. Hakeem Jeffries looked very scared in that video. I'll give you that. You know who else seems nervous to me is Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar, she did this interview, was yesterday or the day before, addressing the calls for her deportation. And she seems to be worried about that. Like, for the first time, people are going to look into, hey, listen, I appreciate the call. But you're seeing a lot of fear from the American left and the Democrats these days. All right. Well, let's take some more calls before I bring up something new. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning. Tom from Florida.
Hey, Tom.
Brian, the reason why you're not hearing so much blowback is because half of these generals are still from the other same administration that Trump hired them, and they don't want to deal with them, so they're leaving very, very willingly.
No, they're being fired.
Well, that's why they don't care. They just go.
They don't care. Yeah. They walk into a room, everyone stands up and salutes. They're just walking away from that. Yeah, tell yourself that, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, you're right, because every single person who has worked for Trump has gone on to write a book about
every person
the man who made my life better. Oh, yeah, a lot of them, Brian.
Have you read any of these books?
No, because I don't need to read the books. They already
you
know
don't
the
read
man and who he is.
the books are how they legally pay people off. It's like a money laundering app. The books are to pay people off.
Oh, everything's a scheme.
It is,
except for what Trump's doing. Everything's a scheme.
Now you're talking. Yes,
doing.
You are correct.
Yeah. Guess what? Yeah. And don't forget the stock market you're talking about, the manipulation of that, okay?
Hold on a second here. This is good. Hold on a second. Okay, Tom, hold on. My phone's ringing off the hook here. Tell me about the stock market.
The stock market, okay. Donald Trump becomes president, he becomes one of the richest men in the world automatically, okay? The stock market. Look at what Elon Musk's doing, helping Trump.
No. You referenced something with the stock market that's going on right now. What's going on with the stock market?
Donald Trump is getting rich off it while everybody else is getting poor.
That's your analysis of the stock market? That it's making people rich?
That's my analysis of what's. It's getting very bad with the stock market.
Oh my goodness! You're such a liberal parent with talking points. If Rachel Maddow said Polly want a cracker, you'd call me with Polly want a cracker tomorrow. Yeah, enough. Get off the phone, you idiot. Doesn't even know what he's talking about. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Never Trumper Steve in beautiful Palm City. How are we today?
All right, Steve.
Okay, here we go. You made a statement. It's not an isolated statement. You generally like what Musk has to say, and you did mention that he called the cyber attack on X, that was done by Ukraine. There's no evidence of that, no more so than there was evidence that condoms were being sent to Hamas.
All right, slow down now. Now, again, if you, I changed Never Trumper Steve's handle a couple weeks ago. He as a liberal, he lives in a big old house. You hear the echo that's caused. So it's Steve from the liberal echo chamber. Elon Musk said, Steve from the liberal echo chamber. Let me pull up. Okay, what Elon Musk said, and I played this several times and repeated it. Elon Musk said the cyber attack came from IP addresses in the Ukraine area. The day,
so he says.
What I'm
he says.
I've never known him to lie.
Oh, never? Okay. Here's what he didn't lie about. Here, I'm going to give you one. Because you didn't play his interview with Larry Kudlow yesterday.
I did. I played the clip. That's the clip. I played the clip where he said that the IP addresses were in the Ukrainian area that were from the cyber attacks.
I'm talking about a different clip. I'm talking about a different clip now.
Which one?
You didn't want to play the clip that would get your audience, a lot of whom are elderly, I'm going to assume, because you have a lot of doctors advertising on your show.
Oh, it must be about Medicare.
Play the clip where he said that Medicare and Social Security is where the money is, and it needs to be eliminated. He used that word, eliminated. That should scare your audience big time. And that is why he's lying.
Slow down. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know that he said that or not. I didn't hear that part of the interview. But
Play the tape. Play the tape.
No, I'm not going to. This is not by request. But let's say that he said it. So what? What authority would he have to even do such a thing?
Oh, the same authority about firing all these people in the federal government. Same authority.
No, he doesn't. No.
Plus,
Excuse me. If he rendered this opinion on Social Security, which I didn't hear him say, but let's just say he said it, what you just said was he has zero authority to enact that. Even if he believed it.
I didn't say he has zero authority.
What's his authority? He doesn't even. He's not even in charge of Doge.
According to, well, you're not paying attention to the State of the Union, the equivalent of that, where Trump just said he was in charge.
No.
So
he's a supervisor. He's a supervisor, but there's a lady that's in charge of it from the Obama era.
Yes, she got a job.
So why are liberals firebombing Tesla dealerships and attacking people driving Teslas if he's the bad guy?
Well, he is the bad guy because what he's doing.
Well, wait a minute. But why are your excuse me? Why are your liberal friends attacking drivers of Teslas?
Well, first of all, I'm not liberal. We've gone over that I don't know how many times. You just make that up.
Everything's about you, Steve. Everything's about you. Listen, I'm out of time. I got to run for the break, but I'll look for that clip, and if I find it,
play that clip.
If I find it, I'll play it.
Because
but I'll tell you what, if you get the clip, tag me on X with it, and I'll play it, and we'll talk about it. I'm not shying away from it. Okay, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be right back. I'll look for it during the break. Here's the clip. Let me play it during the break. This is the clip on Social Security.
The president's gone through a long list of absurd things. Why are the 20 million people who are definitely dead marked as alive in the Social Security database? Why were hundreds of millions of dollars of Small Business Administration loans were given out to people aged 11 and under, according to the...
Okay, yeah, that's the clip. That's why I didn't play it. It's old news, but I am going to play it so I can explain how he is misrepresenting what's going on. If you're on hold, hang in there. These people on the left, Goebbels propagandist. Okay, we'll be back in 2 minutes on the air. Back in 2 minutes. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, guys. Less than 2 minutes, we'll be back. Just over a minute, actually. This is our bottom of the hour break for traffic and weather. Well, thank you. I'm glad you love the show. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, guys, if you're new. And if you're already subscribed, please like and share the video if you don't mind. 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. Callers on hold, stand by. I did pull up the clip of Elon with Kudlow on Social Security. I am going to play it for you. I did see this, and the reason I didn't play it is because it's something we've talked about before, and it resembles nothing that Never Trumper Steve from the liberal echo chamber had to say. If you're on hold, hang in there. But first, I want to talk to you about Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. You know, his laser away pain treatment will rid you of pain like he's done with me 7 times, with no injections, no drugs, no downtime, no surgery. And it works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. I'm going to give you a list of some of the most common pains that the laser away pain treatment of Dr. Appleton's works on, but this is a very short, abbreviated, incomplete list. Arthritis, bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck injuries, back injuries, knee, give me a knee. I had some of these on this list. Tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated discs, acute pain, chronic pain, the list goes on. His laser away pain treatment works, guys. He's rid me of pain 7 times. Sometimes from arthritis, growing older, and you get pains. And other times, like my 3 shoulder injuries, he rid me of pain from my shoulder injuries. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain, too. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. All right, before I go back to the phones, I pulled up this clip, the reason I didn't play this particular clip is he talks about something we've been talking about for weeks. It's not new on Social Security, but then he mentioned something about the business loans. And you'll notice that nothing he says resembles anything close to what Never Trumper Steve from the liberal echo chamber was saying.
The president's gone through a long list of absurd things. Why are the 20 million people who are definitely dead marked as alive in the Social Security database? Why were hundreds of millions of dollars of Small Business Administration loans were given out to people aged 11 and under, according to the Social Security? I mean, these must be some very enterprising 8-year-olds,
And some pretty strong 150-year-olds.
Yes, exactly. As the president said, we have an enormous number of people marked as alive who are 160. He didn't know the country was that healthy.
Okay, so yeah, he's talking about cutting off of Social Security people that are dead and don't exist. And notice how Never Trumper Steve has turned that into cutting seniors' Social Security. Oh, boy. And this is a new piece about the 11-year-olds and under getting millions of dollars in the small business loans. That's a new thing. But notice Steve just totally misrepresented the entire thing. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, Jay from Jersey.
Yeah, Jay. Just waking up?
Hey. No, I'm not just waking up. I'm wondering, should I laugh at you first or just start with what I want to talk about? I'm going to laugh at you first. All right, there. Let's get down to it. Transgenerics. I'm just going to say that first, because then I'll go into what you've been talking about this morning. Transgenerics is not transgender. Your boss there, Trump, said that they were making mice transgender. Is transgenerics, which is research on mice for cancer and Parkinson's disease, not transgender. That man's a fool. Okay, let's go into how everything is exploding.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you know he made a mistake? Did you know he made that big of a mistake? Did you?
Nothing you've said. First off, open phones is on Friday. This is Tuesday.
Okay.
But I don't buy you what you've said. They were doing, but I don't want to argue about the mice.
Okay, don't worry about it. You'll Google it later.
I got to tell you, Jay, you're boring me. Talking to you is like listening to the Joyce Kaufman show. You're boring.
I know. I'm very bored.
You got to pick up the entertainment value of your call, or I'm going to move on. I mean, this is terminal.
Okay, well, let's talk about the fact that everything seems to be going really bad. Your man is crashing the stock market.
Oh, okay. Slow down. Okay, no. Okay, now I'm interested. Okay, because Tom brought this up too. Tell me about the stock market crash.
Well, it seems to have crashed, 4 days in a row?
Crash? Describe in detail this crash.
Let's see. The color is red at the end of the day.
The color is red? What is this? What is this, Sesame Street? What's your favorite? What's today's favorite number? 4?
You can't understand words, so let me give you
I can understand words. You told me that the stock market is crashed.
Dodo bird.
I know you want me to hang up on you now, which I'm going to do soon. Don't worry. Your misery will ensue. But you're telling me that the stock market has crashed 4 days in a row? What days was that? Saturday and Sunday?
Well, it hit pretty bad yesterday.
Well, tell me what happened yesterday.
Oh, you don't know.
That's what I'm going. I'm going to.
About it earlier.
Well, no. You referenced it, so I want you to tell me how the stock market crashed yesterday.
Exactly what it was.
Then
Why
explain
can't
it.
You talk about it.
Then explain it to me.
I asked you the question.
Explain it to me.
The question. Did it crash or did it?
I don't understand what happened. You do. Explain it to me.
I wanted to discuss what you
I'm
said.
trying to get you to discuss it. Explain to me what happened with the stock market yesterday.
I explained my part.
Your part? I missed it. Can you explain it again? I missed it. I missed your explanation.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Trump doesn't know what he's doing.
But tell me what happened with the stock market yesterday.
He's trying all these, go back and forth. Oh, I'm going to get you with a tariff. I'm going to get you. And he can't seem to get it right.
So you don't know what happened. All right. I would thank you for the call, but if I did that, I would be lying. So I'm not going to thank you for the call. Oh, my goodness. See, talking to these liberals with their talking points, it's like talking to a telemarketer. They get off the script. They don't think beyond the talking point. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
IB in Broward. Hey, Brother Brian. Man, that Steve from West Palm, he's like a Greg too. He reminds me of Greg too. Always no solutions. The road runner always chasing, the Wile E. Coyote chasing the road runner. And it's really annoying that my brother has this phrase, pettiness. He's talking about nonsense. We've got trillions and billions of dollars stolen, and he's focusing on nonsense with no solutions and not looking at what's going on with the death that is occurring around the world, and the kids are missing. And what do you want to do? Play word games. Are you still following me?
Yeah.
Okay, so hey, fool, Steve, wherever you're from, Steve, pay attention. Stop talking about the pettiness and let's get down to the nitty-gritty, okay? What are you going to do to make this country better rather than your nonsense play with words?
Yeah, they're very good questions. I like good call, IB. Thank you. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you're out. Let's go here. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. This is Barbara in Baltimore. I just thought I'd call in and tell you what happened on the stock market.
Now, I know what happened on the stock. The point.
It was a great buying
Barbara, you and I know what happened.
I was just going to say it was a great.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I thought maybe I am a financial professional, so I thought I would just say this. And that's all I'm going to say is what I'm going to say right now, if I have an opportunity. It was an excellent buying opportunity for young people who have some extra money, who have not invested in their 401ks or IRAs, and it's the time for older people to hold tight.
Now,
Donald Trump is playing chess.
Barbara,
while
this
the
is
rest of
this
these
is the
fools-
point.
rest of these fools are-
Barbara, I love your calls, but you're missing the point.
Excuse me?
The people that called me today.
I didn't miss a point.
No. Tom and that idiot I was talking to a little while ago. They are they like MSNBC and CNN. They're obsessed that the stock market, they don't even understand what's going on or what's happening, but they're upset about it. They're stupid.
But that's why I called in.
The only people upset about
I
the
just
Dow
wanted to-
Jones are people that don't understand it.
And there are a lot of people who are in the market who don't understand it and make foolish moves
That's true.
because of what they hear.
Panic selling.
And that's what I was calling about, simply.
All right. Hey,
It's
Barbara,
an
I
excellent
appreciate the call. She made some good points. She's going to be mad at me, but, you know. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right. You're out. Once, twice. All right. You're out. Now, I want to tell you guys my incredible weight loss. I've lost over 25 pounds in a very short amount of time, in about a month. Actually, maybe less than a month. I lost 25 pounds. I've lost a little bit more than that now. And that's all thanks to Coastal Weight Loss. You know, when I met with Dr. Zuckerman over at Coastal Weight Loss, he said, how much weight do you want to lose? I said, 25 pounds. He says, okay, by when? I said, well, we're leaving on our cruise on March 29th. I'd like to lose it by then. He said, no problem. No problem. And I thought that was an impossibility. I lost the 25 pounds a month early. Isn't that something? I feel great. I look great. My skin, I noticed this yesterday, that my skin looks better too. And it's an amazing thing. No exercise. I don't do any exercise. The only thing I exercise is my mouth, okay? Nothing else. I'm not taking any medications, not taking any of those famous medications that everyone's talking about. And I wouldn't recommend you do either. I'm not doing any of that. Coastal Weight Loss Secret works, and I'm not hungry. And I'm also eating the foods I like. I'm not eating, and I am a very picky eater, I'm here to tell you. And I'm not eating any weirdo foods or anything, which I thought is what I'd be doing, but no, I'm not. I'm eating what I want to eat. In fact, one of my most common places I eat at is Chipotle, okay? So, you know, and we have a new chicken and fish restaurant coming on as a sponsor of the program. I ate there twice last week, you know, so I'm not eating all these weirdo foods and starving myself either. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. I have so much energy, too, because I weigh so much less. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. All right, we'll take our last break and be right back. Hey, William, it's Brian. Great, I'm going to put you on hold. Hold on. One minute. Stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how the metals looking today?
The metals are looking great. Yesterday, we saw a bloodbath in the stock markets, and gold kind of took a little profit-taking on that, but has turned around and regained all of its losses from yesterday, plus some. Yesterday, we saw gold trade in a range of $2,878 to $2,919 the ounce, and closed out the day down $22.40 at $2,888.10 the ounce, giving us a short buying opportunity. Silver was down 42 cents at $32.08 the ounce, while platinum lost $7 at $957, and palladium was down $10 at $924. Well, as I've said before, if you blink, you practically miss the buying opportunities that when we have these little short pullbacks. And today, everything has gone right back up again and then some. Gold trading in a range overnight at $28.78 on the low, all the way up to $29.17. And right now, we're at $2,915 the ounce. That's up $26.90 after yesterday's $22 loss. Silver up 42 cents at $32.50 the ounce. Platinum up $18 at $9.75. And palladium up $10 at $9.34. So the market's again regaining everything that they lost yesterday and then some, and still poised, I think, to go much higher.
You know, people that may not typically be into the metals have a lot of them at home and don't realize, you know, old broken jewelry, sterling silver, and things like that. With the prices so high on gold and silver, are you seeing a lot of people coming in to turn that old broken jewelry or sterling silver sets into money?
Absolutely. Every day we see people come in and they are amazed at the amount of money they're getting for things that they thought were just worth a few dollars and walking out with hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars in their pocket with a lot of big smiles on their faces. This gold move has meant a great deal of upside potential on that old jewelry that's laying around, and you can take advantage of that by bringing it in and get cash for it.
Even if it's broken or really out of date and god awful ugly, it's gold, it's money. And you know, and sterling silver, William Youngerman, do people still bring in sterling silver sets?
Yes, they are. We see them almost every week. We buy sets, and people just don't want to polish it anymore, and quite frankly, it's getting them some pretty handsome returns with silver up at these numbers.
Absolutely. Listen, give William Youngerman a call. He opens up at 10 a.m. His number, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. His address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. And when you enter the building, William Youngerman is directly across from the bank lobby. You can't miss it. You can find both his address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
All right, take care. All right, we're back. And, you know, listen, you could hear from the calls on the program today that the left are in total state of confusion. I mean, the liberals that I've talked to today, do any of them sound coherent, grasping onto straws, talking about things they don't understand, regurgitating meaningless talking points that someone else was regurgitating that they heard and don't even have a basic meaning of what it is that they're saying? This is one of the most confusing times for liberals. You know why that is? Because liberals cannot be happy when America's doing well. That it causes them great anxiety and fear and terror when America's doing well. There's an article that I read yesterday in the Daily Mail. Listen to this. Inside Trump's ruthless plot to sabotage Ron DeSantis. And, you know, I'm not going to go through the article now, but I did tweet this. If you follow me on Twitter, Brian Craig USA on X. Brian Craig USA on X. It's a new X. I had to get a new X account, guys. So if you were following me before, you got to follow me on my new account, Brian Craig USA on X. And I put this article up there, and all the show prep that I talk about and the things I don't have time for, I always post to my X. So follow me there. But this article about Ron DeSantis is so bizarre. You got to read it. It's a long article, and I'm not going to read it on the air, at least not today. I might read some highlights another day. But Ron DeSantis is angling to run for president. There's no doubt about it. And his wife, this is what was very surprising to me. Ron DeSantis' wife, Casey, is serious about running for governor. I thought it was a joke. President Trump has endorsed Byron Donalds. It's going to be Byron Donalds. And that's great. I'm behind Byron Donalds. And Byron Donalds is running for governor so that he can run for president or vice president one day. That's what it is. You know, he wants to go. You know, most presidents. There's been some changes in the last few, but since Obama. But for the most part, presidents come from governors. They don't typically come from Congress because they have to have some experience doing something. And members of Congress only vote yay and nay. I know there's some exceptions to that, recently with Biden and Obama. But for the most part, they come from the governors. They need to have that experience. And that's why DeSantis blew it. But, a lot of people are talking about how DeSantis blew it. I think DeSantis did us a favor because he showed us who he was. If DeSantis had not betrayed Trump and all of us who supported him and thought he was MAGA during his 2 elections, he might have one day become president, and we would have found out after he got elected that he was a rhino. So Ron DeSantis, he may have messed up for his own political future, but he did all of us a favor outing himself for what he is. Now, I will say he's a pretty good governor, and because he's running for president, who do you think's going to win in a primary? JD, who took down Zelensky, or Ron DeSantis, who betrayed Trump? But because he's running for president, he's talking and doing things that are good because he's trying to get his back behind him. So I appreciate all his goodness, but I'll never vote for that guy. There's just no way. How could you vote for Ron DeSantis after what he did? All right, let's see here. We'll go here. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm on the air.
You're on the air.
Oh, hey, how you doing, Brian?
All right.
Let me say this. I am getting sick and tired of these Democrats. I was a Democrat all my life until Donald Trump showed up.
Awesome.
And Donald Trump showed us just how the government should be ran. Now, that guy that got up in there while Donald Trump was speaking, he got up there and said, they threw me out because I was racist. No, they throwed you out because you didn't follow the rules. Now, let me explain something to you, brother. If they was racist and they threw you out because of that, how come the rest of your friends didn't get up and walk out with you? See, they sat there and kept their mouth closed. I am sick and tired of people calling Donald Trump racist and he this and that. Let me tell you something. They try to stop me at the voting poll. Kamala Harris voters. They tried to stop me. He said, who you vote for? I'm voting for Trump. Why? I said, because I believe that Trump got a better vision, and he's a businessman. This country is a business. And you keep talking about democracy. I believe this country is a republic, to which it's saying one nation under God, indivisible. And that's what it is. It's a republic. It never was a democracy. Democracy is used for you to do what you need to do.
Well, see, what's happened is, years ago, to get a call from a black man who's a Republican would be unusual. And it's so common these days. That's why the Democrats have given up on blacks, and we're trying to import millions of peasants from South America here because American blacks have woken up and are no longer on the Democrat plantation. And I'm glad to hear that you're on the MAGA train. But you were a Democrat till you were liberal. You were a Democrat until Trump. What was the one thing that turned you over? Why did you escape that plantation?
I'll tell you in one quick swoop. I looked at the American cities, black American cities, where there's more blacks in the city or around the county, And I noticed that our condition ain't changed yet.
That's right.
It haven't changed.
Yeah.
It haven't changed. And I'm looking at you telling me, well, I'm going to come in and we're going to move the city forward. And yes, dear, the crime is still high.
What city are you in? What city? What city?
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Oh, yeah. Well, you even look here. Where are you calling me from?
I'm calling you from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, you're in Birmingham. You know, even here, Mar-a-Lago's in Palm Beach, in Palm Beach County. If you go to the Democrat, that's a very Democrat area. The poorest areas are the black areas, where there are black neighborhoods, okay? And it's really, that's liberalism. Liberalism doesn't want, the reason that the liberals are the way they are to blacks is because once you become middle class and a homeowner, you start paying taxes, you leave the Democrat plantation like you've done. So the Democrats want to keep blacks in poverty. That's how they keep them voting for them. Hey, listen, I got to run because we're coming to the end of the show, Birmingham, but it's good to hear from you. And I want to remind you guys this. This is a shameless plug. Donald Trump's Apprentice Season 1 is now available on Amazon Prime. President Trump posted this on social media yesterday. I watched the first episode last night. They haven't been rerunning this for years, and it's just season 1, but it's so good. You get a great introduction from the president in the beginning. It's the season with Omarosa. So tonight, tune into The Apprentice. The whole first season's there. I hope they put them all there. The Apprentice with President Trump. I love that show. I miss that show. And the first season is very good. I watched the first episode last night, and I loved it. All right, see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I'm Brian, Steve Kane Show. All right, and we are out. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. If you're new, make sure you subscribe, okay? And if you're already subscribed, do me the favor of liking the video. I'm going to go through, though, those of you watching on the long-form video, I'm going to go over this story on DeSantis that I didn't have time to do on the radio today, okay? So let me go through this because this is some story. Listen to this. This is in the Daily Mail yesterday, and it goes through some very strange. We're off the radio now, so you're getting after the radio show. This is the beginning of the 4th hour. This was in the Daily Mail yesterday about Trump and DeSantis. Inside Trump's ruthless plot to sabotage Ron DeSantis by painting him as weird. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis shared a photo of President Trump playing golf with his wife, Casey, 2 weekends ago in Florida. DeSantis conceded that the president and Florida's First Lady partnered together and had no trouble winning the match. It comes as Casey DeSantis is mulling running for governor, despite Trump already endorsing Byron Donalds, a move that can be interpreted as another way to extract payback on DeSantis, who dared to compete against Trump in the Republican primary. In revenge, listen to this. In revenge, the inside story of Trump's return to power, a journalist details what he says was the Trump campaign's plot to derail DeSantis in the primary. Trump didn't just want to stop DeSantis from winning the Republican nomination. He wanted to destroy him and make it impossible for DeSantis to run for anything ever again. The ex-president was incensed that DeSantis wouldn't wait his turn and run in 2028. Instead, after Trump endorsed him over another Republican during the governor's 2018 gubernatorial bid, effectively handing DeSantis the nomination for governor. Several months ahead of DeSantis' May 2023 entry into the race, Trump's high command had huddled in the campaign's West Palm Beach headquarters with one purpose: figure out how to make Ron DeSantis look weird. And it doesn't appear that it's that hard. Wait till you hear some of these things. Listen to this. The group exchanged tales of portraying the governor in an unflattering light, like the time DeSantis shoved chicken fingers in his jacket pocket, the time he clipped his toenails in the back of a security vehicle, and the time he had a bathroom mishap aboard an airplane. Oh my goodness. And you know, these Trump people are all insiders. Those three things right there are gross. Oh my goodness. Shoved chicken fingers in his pockets, clipped his toenails in the back of the car, and had a bathroom mishap on board a plane. What does that mean? Did he wet his pants or did he number two? I don't know. But these are Florida Republicans who know. Oh my goodness. Well, if DeSantis steps out of line again, I guess we'll get more details on that. Hey, listen, guys. Again, thanks for watching. If you're new, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I know TMI, but that this is where MAGA comes to talk. Subscribe if you're new. If you're already subscribed, do me the favor of liking the video and sharing. All right? Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.